Hi, welcome to the Lele Times. I'm actress and singer Leatha Joyner, but my friends call me Lele. Thank you so much for spending time with me and our special guest today. He is a actor, singer, writer, and producer, best known for his work as Fiyero in the Broadway production of Wicked. Please give a warm welcome to Jonah Platt. Hi, Jonah.
Hi, Leatha. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic.
So, I told you that I love Wicked, and I know you played Fiyero in Wicked. What initially drew you to musical theater, and what do you remember about knowing that that was the path you wanted to take?
Well, I was really raised on musical theater. Ever since I can remember as a kid, we were always listening to musical theater and singing around the house and watching the movies and going to shows. My parents love musical theater. It was one of the things that they bonded over when they met in college. And so when they had kids, yeah, they shared that love of theater with all their kids. So I have two brothers and two sisters, and all five of us are great singers and all love musical theater and all were performing all the way through high school and all the musicals and everything.
I love.
And in terms of like knowing when I wanted to pursue it, really not until it was starting to unfold for me. I mean, because it's such a hard business, and I certainly didn't think it was one I could find great success in at first. But then one job sort of led to another, and really my like sort of big breakout was I did the musical Hair at the Hollywood Bowl in 2014. And generally for those shows, they do one basically every summer at the Bowl, and they cast really big stars in all the roles. And because Hair is such a big cast, I got cast. I went in for the ensemble, and I got cast as Wolf, one of the principals. And sort of getting to perform at that level with, Kristen Bell and Hunter Parrish, and I was really well reviewed, and I felt really strong in the show. And I was like, oh, I can actually be confident that I can totally hang with this crowd. And being in that show helped me get the opportunity to then audition for Wicked.
Nice.
hmm
I aspire to someday be on Broadway. What was your experience like, and what could you give to those that also aspire to do theater?
Ooh. The experience was incredible. I did Wicked for 1 year, 350 times.
Whoa.
And, it's very special to be part of a show like Wicked that is so beloved by so many and is such a quality show. And, the fans are fantastic. People are always sending in fan art and letters and showing up to stage door. And it was just so warm and fun to be a part of, and such a cool alumni group to be a part of. So many people have been through that show now. In terms of advice for getting to Broadway, I mean, it just, I guess I would, well, however hard you think it is to make it, times that by like 100. And like, that's how hard it is to make it. Just the most talented people in the world have a hard time getting a Broadway show, let alone people who are even 1% less than the most talented. It's just really hard. So my friend Jackie Tone, who's a great actress, she's on the show Nobody Wants This right now on Netflix.
Oh, it's a
And
great
and
show.
she said, oh yeah, and she said something once that stuck with me, which is basically, she's been acting her whole life since she was a kid. It's the only thing she's ever wanted to do. And her thought process is the right one. She said, either I'm gonna act and be poor, or I'm gonna act and be rich. But like that's it. I'm acting. That's the approach you have to have, and you have to be okay with like you might never really make it. You might be struggling forever. You might never hit that big thing you want to hit, or it might take like Jackie. It might take a long time to really be on a hit show, and then you're in a great spot. But even then, nothing's guaranteed, and that show could go away, and she could be back to the grind. You never know. So
Yeah.
you just have to really be ready. And if you can picture yourself ever doing anything else but performing, you should go do the other thing, because the only way you'll make it as an actor, if it's what you live, breathe, eat, sleep, and you'll never want to do anything else.
Yes, that is exactly how I feel about acting. And before I steer away from Wicked, I know you're like, oh, this child just keeps talking about Wicked.
No, I love
Um,
talking about Wicked. It means a lot to me.
I saw some of your behind the scene videos, which
hmm
I loved, and I showed them to
Thank
my
you.
mom. She loved them too. But
Fiero time.
Yes, Fiero time.
Fiero time, backstage at Wicked with me, Jonah Platt. Oh, snap!
And earlier this year, I went to New York for the first time and I saw two shows that I really love, Romeo and Juliet and Wicked.
Nice.
And before I saw the show, I saw the film, which I know your dad produced. And how does it feel knowing that, or how does it feel getting to see it from stage to on screen?
Yeah. I mean, you're always a little bit nervous when a musical gets adapted on screen because it's such a different medium and they can be really hit or miss. There's some great movie musicals, there's some not so great ones. And Wicked, of course, is a very hefty adaptation. There's a whole world they had to create of Oz and the magic and the costumes and just so much stuff and get the story and the emotion and all of that. And I think they nailed it, honestly. I was really impressed and I loved the movie. I mean, I think audiences agree around the world that it was a home run. And I think it's one of the best movie musical adaptations ever.
Yes, I was so sad. I felt they got really snubbed at the Oscars because John and
Mm,
Sue did amazing with
yeah,
the acting and the cinematography. Everything was just beautiful.
I'm totally with you. Luckily, they got another crack at it with Wicked for
Part
Good.
two?
Yeah.
Yes. So you've worked in many aspects of entertainment, acting, writing, producing. Which role feels most at home for you?
That's a great question. I would say the two roles that feel the most at home for me would be acting and directing. Really, I sort of think of myself as just like I mean, it sounds kind of cheesy, but I'm sort of a creative artist, right? Like because I can sort of I like to like make stuff. So, and the things I make, I like to be a part of. So I like to write and direct and act and sort of put that all into play. But I think because I'm a natural leader and I'm good with sort of a creative vision, I'm a natural director. And acting is like my first love of the performing arts and really is something I enjoy doing. So those would be my top two.
Nice. I hope to be like you, multi-hyphenated, and do acting, producing, writing, all of that.
The only way to do it is to do it. You just got to
Yep.
do it.
Um, and with your writing and comedy background, I know you wrote for Family Guy and some other pretty cool um projects. How has your background in comedy influenced your approach in acting and performance?
Mm. So, first of all, just to clarify, I was a writer's assistant on Family Guy, and I want to take credit as having written on it because it's a little different. But I was in the writer's room for 3 seasons, and you know, my background comedy wise really comes from my time in musical theater, and then my extensive time doing improv. I started doing improv when I was 14. I went to a Groundlings teen workshop. The Groundlings are one of LA's best sketch comedy group. Will Ferrell came out of there, Chris Kattan, Kristen Wiig, Phil Hartman, just so many greats, Lisa Kudrow. And that sort of gave me the bug for improv. And then I started an improv group in my high school, and that's still going now. And it's like 20 something year. And then I performed with my own group that I created and directed, and we would do hour-long improvised musicals, which was a blast. So when it comes to performance, I'm very comfortable doing comedy on stage, and I sort of understand how it works. And as a writer, I have like a double understanding because I understand what it works from a, structural point of view and timing point of view kind of as well. So it all feeds into each other. And I think that's why, most of my on camera work, at least, has had a bit of comedy to it. Because that's something I'm able to do. I can bring that to the table, even if it's a more serious thing, even if it's a play and gets serious. I tend to have moments of levity and comedy in these roles because I'm able to do that with my background.
Nice. Um, I want to ask you, first off, I want to kind of jump into something else. I know that you have a podcast,
Yeah,
Jewish with Jonah Platt.
there it
What?
is.
Yeah, right there. What was something, when did you know that you wanted to do it? And what was something that inspired you to advocate for your culture?
So I started planning it in January of 2024 because I was inspired by the events and aftermath of October 7th, 2023. That was when the Hamas terrorist attack on Israel happened on October 7th. And it was, an absolutely earth shattering, devastating event for Jews all over the world. And equally as devastating was the reaction from the rest of the world after, where so many people instantly sort of began denying what happened and blaming Israel and protesting against Jews. And it's been really, really nasty for our community ever since. We're living through certainly the hardest time of my lifetime as a Jew, and seeing hate that we never thought we would see again. And so I was spending a lot of time really pouring my heart and energy into my advocacy online, where I had typically done a lot of stuff on my Instagram, trying to educate and filter all of the noise and help people understand the truth of what was going on and what it felt like. And I was just thinking that a podcast would be a good way to expand on that stuff and also do something positive. So not just responding to the hate, but actually showcasing what's beautiful about being Jewish and show Jews having conversations that we have, around the dinner table out in the open, and having those conversations with really notable Jewish people and non-Jewish allies, so that we could really invite people in to, understand everybody's experience and really have a raw, candid look at what we're all going through, and to normalize those conversations. But I'd never made a podcast before. So basically I had the idea in January of 2024, and it took me I guess about 8 months to launch it, because I took my time and really learned, okay, what do I need to know to make a podcast and make it good, and, launch on day one with a really quality product. And with my entertainment background, I think that's obviously, if you've ever watched the show, really helped me a lot, because I'm very, very comfortable. I write a monologue every week that I read about a certain issue, and that's all written by me. I craft the flow of the questions and write a lot of the questions. I'm really comfortable talking to people and riffing with people. There's that improv background, and my sort of TV, film, director, producer background. The product on screen is really high quality, just from the branding, the way it's edited, the theme music, all of that stuff. Oh, I froze on mine end. Am I frozen on your end? Okay, there we go.
Yes, you are.
We're back. So yeah, all of my, entertainment-y skills came into play, but I had to really learn the ropes of, okay, what kind of team members do I need to hire to help support, so that I'm not trying to, run a whole business by myself, and all this stuff. So it took 8 months, and then I launched in October of 2024, and now we're about to release episode 35 tomorrow.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.
What would you say to those that want to take a stand for their community, for their culture?
Yeah, I think all of us, no matter who you are, where you come from, deserve to feel proud of who you are and unapologetically proud of who you are. You don't need to defer or make space or apologize for being who you are. You can take up whatever space feels right to you, and be proud of your identity. And the only thing really to do in return is to respect other people in that same way, and respect that, we're all different. We all have something of value to bring, and we all should be able to coexist as a, city, state, national, global community, while also being true to our own, individual communities. They don't need to be one or the other. It can be, I'm a proud Jew, and I'm also in the mix and proud of being an American and a human being, and whatever it is. And I can respect and feel bonded to my fellow humans, regardless of what they are, and respect that they might have their own community that they're focused on or that they identify with. But we can all get along together. We just need to communicate and want to be together, and then we can be.
Yes, I love your answers.
Oh, thank you.
I want to move over to the business aspect
Sure.
of being in entertainment. How important is networking in your career, and how do you approach building authentic industry relationships?
So networking is kind of everything. I mean, it's at the very least, it's equal to, if not more important than talent. If you're the most talented person and nobody sees you and you have no relationships, it's not going to get you anywhere. Excuse me. So networking is huge. And I mean, there's a couple ways to approach it. Of course, the best way is authentic, organic relationship building, and knowing that like that doesn't come necessarily just to you, right? Like you, there has to be some effort put in, and the effort doesn't make it inauthentic. Like being aware that, oh, when I go to this industry event, I need to make sure that I'm like introducing myself and talking to people and having good conversations. That's what I mean. It doesn't mean you should be going, who am I going to go like collect and put in my pocket so I can use them later? That, there's something a little slimy about that. And I think people
Yeah.
can sort of see through that to an extent. But there's the sincere version of that, which is the open acknowledgement of it's good for me to meet people around me, but I'm going to meet them, as a person and get to know them and like build an authentic connection. And then if they can help me some way down the line, or I can help them, that pathway is open because I've opened it. But I haven't just thought of them as like an object that I need to better my career, because that's not a good way to treat people.
No, it's not. Um, and also, I want to let you know, I'm going to college. It goes into the next question.
Sure.
I'm going to college in the fall. And
Congrats.
thank you. And I'm double majoring in theater and business.
Nice.
So I'm wondering as someone who has worked behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, how do you approach negotiations and contracts? And what have you learned the hard way?
Hard to answer that generally. Look, when you're approaching negotiations and contracts, I think understanding that certainly, at least when you're starting out, like you have no leverage. I mean, and even when you're a little bit down the road, you have very little leverage. And the productions understand you want the job, you need the job, and they unless are a major asset, they don't really have to accommodate you in any way because there's 100 other people who want this job. So you can always ask for more, and you always should. You should never just say yes to the first offer. You can always push back. But if they're not going to budge and it's something you want to do, just suck it up and do it, because, other things have value than money when it comes to a career like acting. You really need the relationships, you need the exposure, you need the experience. All of those things have value too, not just the monetary value. And you need all of those to build a career, not just money. So yeah, really saying yes to things is important. And then when you get further down your career, God willing, if you really start to make it, and then you have some leverage, then you can start to be a little tougher, and that's when you need a really good lawyer who's going to advocate for you. It shouldn't be you. Yeah, it's tricky, and it's the contracts are getting worse for actors, not better. The scale rates are getting smaller, and the number of roles is getting smaller, and what would have been a series regular is now a guest star, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's hard out there. But if again, it's like I'm going to act and be poor, I'm going to act and be rich. That's got to be the mentality.
As someone who has been in entertainment, both as creative and business, what would you give to those that want to do more of the business aspect?
So I think it's a lot easier of a road to go down the business aspect because there are pathways that are sort of already built. As an actor, it's a little bit of it's a lot of bit of a sort of a dice roll, and nobody's path looks the same. When it comes to the business side, there is kind of a path, and it's about getting in the door kind of anywhere as an intern, in a mailroom, at an agency, at a studio, at a production company, on a set, whatever it is, just getting in at the lowest level, and then working your way up. And as long as you're committed and are nice to be around and respectful and decently, adequate at your job, you will move up if you stick it out. And so that's one thing. And then, the business side is massive. The acting side, I'm an actor. You say, I want to be in the business side of entertainment. It's like, wow, do you want to be in marketing? Do you want to be in legal? Do you want to be in music? Do you want to be in TV? Do you want to be in film? Do you want to be at a studio? Do you want to be at a network? Do you want to be at an agency? Do you want to be a production company? Just, here, there we go. So many different options. I mean, and I named, five of them. I'm barely scratching the surface. Distribution, sales, all these different places. So you have a lot more options on the business side. And it's just sort of about getting in somewhere and starting to learn the ropes and learn the ecosystem and figuring out where you have opportunity and where you'd like to have opportunity and trying to head in that direction.
Hmm, nice. That's great to know, especially for those that might not known about all those different directions and paths that they can take. I'm curious, I heard you say singing, and I know you and your family do singing, which is something that comes with musical theater. And I'm curious, is there any future singing projects that you might have coming up? I know you did some things at the Hollywood Bowl, and well, honestly, I could name some different things. I mean, not the Hollywood Bowl, the Rose Bowl. I could name a couple different
No, you
things.
were right. Hollywood
But
Bowl was right.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whew. I could name a couple different things, but they would have different things to do with singing. But you already know your resume. What would you, what would you say was your favorite project to work on singing wise?
Ooh. I would say my favorite singing thing I ever did was actually my college a cappella group, and it was called Off the Beat at the University of Pennsylvania. And at the time I was in it, it was really cutting edge. We would
Was
do
it like Pitch Perfect?
not really. That was a little, a much sort of poppier version of what we would do. We did sort of contemporary rock a cappella. So, like, really interesting, complicated stuff that not a lot of other groups would do, like, I don't know, Incubus and Foo Fighters and all these kind of alternative artists. Um, and the group was just really, really, really high level and massively popular when I was in college. Like we would sell out 500 seat auditoriums and win a bunch of awards every year, like national a cappella awards. And my best friends from college are the ones that I was in the group with. And I was actually just listening to one of the songs in the car ride over to where I am right now. And I literally remarked to my wife, I was like, it's the best feeling in the world. Like working on a project, like collaborating with people already is fun, but when you're literally like melding your voices together to make something, and like that's the collaboration, you're just like you're like sharing your essence with one another to like make something greater than you could make by yourself. It's
Mhm.
just a really powerful, magical energy bonding experience that meant the world to me, and I loved it so much. And it was certainly one of the best things I've ever been a part of at any level, but definitely my favorite singing thing.
Oh, I love that. Can you sing a little for us?
Oh man, of what?
I don't know. Song of your choice. Dancing through
Okay,
life.
dancing through life, sure. Dancing through life, swaying and sweeping, and always keeping cool. Life is fraughtless when you're thoughtless. Those who don't try never look foolish. Dancing through life, mindless and careless. Make sure you're aware less trouble is rife. Woes are fleeting, blows are glancing when you're dancing through life.
You ate down.
Oh,
I love it.
yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, Dream come true. You blessed
Aw.
my ears.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I I have one more question.
Yeah.
As a person in entertainment and as a person who is just a person, we know there goes more to life than just work, but you also have a family, you have kids, you have your wife. How do you juggle being a father, a husband, a businessman, and just having time for Jonah?
That's a great, very mature question. To me, that balance is sort of the key to life. It really is about how do you prioritize your time and making sure you have time to do all the things you want to do. And for me, my family is always number one. It's the most important thing. So the way that I sort of filter my day is as I'm scheduling things, I'm also making sure, like, in my mind, I've already scheduled family time. Like that, I don't put that in the calendar, but I'm leaving the spaces. Like, I try never to have anything between 5 and 7 so I can be with my kids in the evening and play and do dinner and bath time and bedtime and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And on the weekends, I really only, if I have work, I try to do it, when my daughter's napping or late at night. So basically, the only way for me to get done all the things I want to do and be with the people I want to be with and have the life I want to have is I end up working really late a lot of nights. So I'll work till, 1:30, 2 in the morning, because basically when the kids go to bed, I either start my work night then, which is sort of my second work day, or if I have an event that night, like I did last night, I got home at 10:30 from a birthday party, and then I started my work. So that's why I was up till 1:30. But it's the only way I can make it work. That I was with my family, all day yesterday was a Saturday, so it's a family day, and we had my nephew's birthday, and I worked a little bit during nap time, and then I had a 50th birthday to go to, and then I still had work to do that I had to like get a cut of my podcast to my team. So I had to stay up till 1:30 to make sure they had what they needed to start the day. So it's being clear in your priorities, I think, is sort of key, and then really, sticking to them as you schedule out your time.
Hmm. Okay, thank you. I'll keep
Sure.
that in mind.
Yeah, and I use tools to help me do that. I use an app called Todoist, which is sort of like my digital to-do list, and then I use my calendar. Like this, as second something happens, it goes in the calendar, and so I don't have to keep it in my brain juggling because there's already enough in there.
Hmm. I'll keep those in my head.
Hmm.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It
You're
has
very
been a
welcome.
pleasure and an honor getting to spend this time with you. And thank you to those watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.
You're very sweet. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.